What's up, everyone? My name is Jesse. This is the Auditorium. I react to video game music for the first time as a musician myself. And today is the return of FFX, Final Fantasy X, a game that I will be playing very, very, very soon. So I gotta hear the songs that are remaining. And before I continue, just since I still may have you here at the beginning, please don't spoil this game or allude to anything because that would be completely useless. I'm probably gonna ignore most of these comments anyways. But we're going to be listening to, is it Tidus' theme, Tidus' theme? I know the name is a big debate, but we'll get to that. And I'm sure the comments are already starting with that. That's from the channel Nobuamatsu Topic. And then we're listening to This Is Your Story from the channel Miss Dream 70, requested by Henry and Antis. I don't know if his name is Tidus. I don't know if it's Tidus. I don't know if it's Titties. All I know is I'm going to just call him Ty and just piss everybody off together. Well, we'll get to that one, but this is coming up pretty soon. So if you want to see, I haven't like really formally announced it, but it's just known that I'm going to play it soon. But it'll be here, Jesse's VODs, and of course live here. Schedules and all that will come later, but soon, very soon. So yeah, let's continue hearing FF10 and whatever's left of it. I have about, I don't know, like 10 songs left or something like that. So we're listening to main character's theme. Let's go. I haven't heard 10 in a while, so let me just kind of immerse myself into this new world I'm getting into. I feel like this is going to be an important theme because it might be a motif throughout the game, you know? Are all the memories coming back for you guys? This is the kind of music that shoots you back into the memories. Oh, interesting. It still has kind of like the older video game sound. For being PS2, I thought it would sound newer-ish. But it still has like that PS1 sound a little bit, which is cool, I have a couple questions regarding the composition, but either way, we're listening to the main character's theme. I'm trying to guess his personality from this song, you know what I mean? It's kind of a tall order, but from the games I've played and characters I've met, we'll dive into that a little later too. And the other song, I don't even know where that plays either, so. Ooh. I've always been a fan of this like fretless bass sound. It's like a honky bass. There's a song in FF7 Remake that reminds me of this, which is really weird. But it's a very specific song from Nobuamatsu, because he didn't do a lot of originals in that game. I think it's him, I'm pretty sure. We'll talk about that later too. There's a lot to discuss here. I'm also very nervous going into this game. This has been such an anticipated game for me to play for so long. At least 3 years. I don't know if this is kind of cliche, but it sounds complex. Like maybe the character's complex. there's parts where it sounds really nice and hopeful and wholesome, and then there's like inner turmoil in that song too. There's like a lot of like minor sounding arpeggios that sound kind of like doom doom doom. Like if it didn't have the string section underneath it, it would sound kind of demonic. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but it sounds a little, you know. So where do I begin? There's a lot to talk about here. No pressure, right? It's the main character's theme. And let me just give you a brief history in case you don't know what's going on. Long story short, obviously I discovered soundtracks here, and then I sometimes go into playing the game, right? Because of I like the soundtrack. So Final Fantasy has been part of that. Started with Remake, went into FF7 Original, then FF8, and then FF9, and then I done Rebirth as well. So the two big missing ones that everyone kept asking me is like, where's 6 and 10? It's another story that I'll share another day. I've shared multiple times. Just look at any other time I've done FF10. You'll see how that even came to be. There's a whole story behind that, another streamer. But this game is next. I'm just finishing Shin Megami Tensei 5 right now. So it's going to be interesting going back to Final Fantasy and also going back, what I'm guessing is like 25 years, you know, when this game released. Just about, maybe 20, whatever. Early 2000s. PS2. My first PS2 experience with Final Fantasy. Now, not every game has a character theme. At least not to my knowledge. For example, 7, I like 90% sure there's no Cloud theme. I just associate Cloud with Anxious Hearts, you know, which is kind of like the Nibelheim theme, sort of. I don't even know if that's official, but Anxious Hearts reminds me of Cloud. And if you hear that song and you know Cloud's story, yeah, that's dead on. Very complicated character with a lot of wounds. FF8, I don't think Squall has a song, but I relate him to the song "The Landing." Dun 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 dun. You know, the first mission they go to. That song is like super epic. There's another song too. I forgot what it's called. Damn, I'll have to think about it later. But it's kind of like in the big story. It's not a spoiler, but it's like the kind of the moment where he kind of goes from being like whatever to in charge. I forgot where it plays. Like they're at the very top of the garden. Anyways, I don't know if the landing plays there too, but either way. And then 9 had Zidane or Zidane. He has a theme, but I don't remember what it sounds like. I really, really don't. I just kind of associate him with Not Alone. But anyways, character theme is kind of a big deal. You know, it's like a huge, huge, huge stamp on the character. I have seen what this character looks like. I know he's kind of like famous for his laugh. It's been memed to death. I've seen it everywhere. But other than that, I know nothing of this game. I've seen what a couple characters look like. I'm not sure who's who. I know there's a ball game somewhere. And, you know, I basically know nada. And that's what's exciting about it. And it's rare to, you know, come across stuff these days and, like, have someone have no clue what the hell's happening. For example, in 7, there's a huge moment that I didn't know about, and some people were doubting that I even knew about it or not, which is crazy. But so I've been avoiding anything 10 related for as long as I can. Like every time people are streaming it, whatever, I leave, you know, that kind of thing. Anyways, blah blah blah. This song reminded me of, I could be wrong about this, please correct me, but I think in FF7 Remake, early on in the game, when you visit the top of Sector 8, when you visit Jessie's house, not me, but the girl Jessie, I'm pretty sure there's a song there that plays only once in the whole game. It's when you're walking on the street. It's nighttime right before you get to her house, and there's a song, I'm pretty sure like that's like a new original song from Nobuo Uematsu. It sounds like this one. I think that's him though. I'm pretty sure it's him. Can't remember the name of it. Maybe I'll like put it in the pinned comment. And the last thing I was going to say before I move on, because I want to hear both before I talk about all of them. I am aware this is the first game that I'm going to play that is not exclusively Nobuo Uematsu. Well, besides the remake and the, you know, this is Junya Nakano, Masashi Hamazu, cool. and Nobuo Uematsu. I don't know much about Junya Nakano, and I'm not sure how much I've heard from them. So that's going to be a really interesting experience to hear that. You know what I mean? I don't know what I've heard already from FF10 that is Junya Nakano. But also, the big thing is, I wonder if any of these songs in this game are collaborated between the three or two, or if they just each have their own pieces. That's exciting to think about, you know what I mean? But either way, this game has a whole bunch of praise. A lot of people are been wanting for me to play it for so long, and it's kind of nerve-wracking, but we're going to get to it. Last thing before I move on to the next song is, I think it's hard to say with the protagonist, lead character, but that song sounded very, to not sound cliche, it just sounded very human. You know, like we all have our good and our bad sides. The song had bits of hopefulness, but also this kind of dread of, to get more specific, I was getting sort of failure to impress type of feel, you know, this kind of wanting to talk but holding it in, because that's the way I am. So it was my brain went through my own motions. Anyways, this is your story. So I am aware, by the way, I don't know where these play, but I am aware that the songs I just heard are early on in the game. So I'm hearing them in order, sort of when I would encounter them, if that makes sense. Okay, cool. This is your story, Final Fantasy X. Ooh, I wonder if I can guess who this composer is. It doesn't say, does it? Is this a disc? An actual soundtrack you can buy? It says Nobuo Uematsu's best selection. I guess I'd have to guess it's him. Also, I'm trying really hard to not look at the image, the main image, because that usually kind of spoils the game. But I do know there's a constant theme of blue and yellow. Whoa. I've heard a lot of people tell me this is one of the most variety-filled soundtracks in Final Fantasy. In mood and song choices. You have to remember, the first song I ever heard was Otherworld, which is a straight rock thing, you know? Oh, and I know there's a guy named Seymour, because I've heard his song, and damn, I love that song. Dun, 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 dun. I love the simplicity of this. It's kind of aquatic. I'm getting a very specific setting in mind, but I don't think it's a setting. But I'll tell you what it is anyways. Oh, it's over. Ooh, that was a cliffhanger of a song. That felt like an intro movie kind of thing. But that's not what I was thinking. I'll tell you what I was thinking. I'm going to guess that was actually Nobuo Uematsu. That kind of it's hard to say, but that sounded like something he would do. This gave me a very specific setting, but it's totally inaccurate. But I was thinking of FF8 during the jail section when you're breaking out in that kind of cylindrical place. It kind of reminded me of that for just this, for some reason, it's kind of this dark setting of trying to get out or something. But considering the length of that song and the title, "This Is Your Story," that feels very intro cutscene, one of the first cutscenes, or big story establishment early on with talking going on, and it probably doesn't play again after that. That's just kind of my guess. It felt very like lore drop, you know. Um, I'm very curious. No, I'm not actually asking. This is rhetorical, but I'm very curious what the world is going to be like. Right? 7 was like modern day, kind of. You know. 8 was also kind of modern day, but a little futuristic. 9 was like pure fantasy, and it seemed kind of older. So I don't know if you know how 10 is going to feel, but the music makes it sound very high fantasy, very otherworldly, I should say. But yeah, this had a very like, I want to say aquatic, but it wasn't aquatic. All I know is some people were definitely correct on the whole music sounding everywhere, because like I said, I started with Otherworld, which was very, you know, dun 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 dun, and then I've heard Seymour's theme, which is insane in a good way. I've heard Xanarkand, and then I've heard these two, which are like kind of on the lighter but more atmospheric side. It's really all over the place, but I feel like most of what I've heard has been Nobuo Uematsu. It's actually going to be interesting hearing Hamazu in the early days, because I'm used to him in Remake and Rebirth, and he has some of the coolest stuff in those games. So it's going to be It's going to be cool hearing him, you know, from yesteryear. I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for Junin Okono. Have they returned for anything else, or was this like a one-time thing, Final Fantasy X? Speaking of which, I should mention that I have no intention on playing X2. I guess never say never, but at this moment I have like zero desire to go there. And I've heard from like a resounding amount of people that you can skip X2 anyways. Not that it's bad or whatever, it's just you don't need it. You know, you can just be satisfied with just completing 10. So, in case anyone's curious, I have no plans on playing 10 too. Anyways, okay. So, main character's theme, complex, emotional, yet happy-go-lucky. Second song, intro cutscene, lore drop. I can't wait to hear the remaining couple of songs, so expect another like 4 or 5 videos. But I will let you guys know, as always, you guys and gals, when I'm going to play FF10. Probably mid to late November. So it's going to be the holiday game, which is funny because I already said that Xanarkand sounds like a Christmas song. But yeah, cool. I can't think of anything else. So we'll see in the rest of the songs that are coming up. Thank you, Antis, and thank you, Henry. And I will see you in FF10. Thanks to everyone you see on screen. I couldn't be here without them. Thanks to you for watching. My name is Jesse in the auditorium. See you in FF10.